The world was ending, not with a bang, but with a splat. A splat so profound it echoed through the hearts of every living being. Mega Death Shit, a giant sentient turd with an attitude, was on a rampage. His touch? Deadly, literally. One touch and you were done for, reduced to nothing but a puddle of goo. 1 minute you're fine, the next you're a puddle of goo. Cities crumbled, monuments melted. The world as we knew it was dissolving before our very eyes. Even the Eiffel Tower drooped like a sad, gooey baguette. Iconic landmarks were no match for his corrosive touch. The stench alone was enough to knock you out, a putrid aroma that filled the air and choked the life out of everything. But Megadeth Shit's real weapon was despair. A despair so deep it seeped into the souls of everyone. He sucked the hope out of everything. Every smile, every laugh, every glimmer of optimism was extinguished. People tried to fight back, they really did. They mustered all their courage and strength. But tanks bounced harmlessly off his squishy exterior. Their best efforts were futile. Missiles just made him angrier. The more they fought, the more enraged he became. An angrier Megadeth Shit was a bad, bad thing. His wrath knew no bounds. Hope was dwindling faster than toilet paper during a pandemic. People were desperate, clinging to any shred of hope they could find. But in a world turning to goo, hope was a rare commodity. The fight for survival had just begun. As if Megadeth Shit wasn't bad enough, we got hit with a double whammy. Enter guast, the self-proclaimed god of shits. This guy was bad news, literally. He was a walking, well, more like waddling, biohazard. Guast commanded an army of sentient poop. And I'm not talking your cute little emoji poops. No, these were the nasty, crusty, bite-your-face-off kind of poops. They swarmed the streets, leaving a trail of filth and fear in their wake. It was a poopacalypse. Guast's goal? To cover the world in a thick layer of, well, you know. Why? Because he was Guast, and that's what he did. But all was not lost. In the face of adversity, when the odds seemed insurmountable, a glimmer of hope remained. In the darkest of times, heroes rise. They emerge from the shadows, ready to take on challenges that seem impossible. And boy, did we need some heroes. Luckily, we had Jacoby. He wasn't just any player, he was the beacon of hope we desperately needed. Jacoby, a regular guy with an irregular name and an even more irregular ability to talk to toilets, don't ask, was humanity's last hope. His quirky nature made him an unlikely hero, but sometimes the most unexpected individuals rise to the occasion. He wasn't strong, he wasn't fast, and he definitely wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. But he had heart, and a plunger. His determination and unique skills set him apart, which, you know, counts for something. In a world where conventional heroes failed, Jacoby's unconventional methods were a breath of fresh air. Joining him were his trusty sidekicks, a team as peculiar as Jacoby himself. Brodie, the tech whiz who could weaponize a toaster oven. His ingenuity knew no bounds, turning everyday objects into tools of triumph. John, the conspiracy theorist who knew way too much about alien poop, again, don't ask. His bizarre knowledge often provided unexpected insights. And Oscar, the talking dog who communicated solely through barks and farts. Despite his unusual communication methods, Oscar's loyalty and keen senses made him an invaluable member of the team. Hey, desperate times called for desperate measures. Together, this motley crew faced challenges head-on, proving that heroes come in all shapes and sizes. Time for a training montage. Because what's a good hero story without a training montage, right? Jacoby and his ragtag team trained day and night. They punched, they kicked, they dodged, mostly poop, let's be honest. Brodie invented gadgets that defied logic and the Geneva Convention. John spouted off crazy theories about guast's weaknesses, most of them involving excessive fiber intake. Oscar? Well, Oscar just barked and farted. A lot. Through it all, Jacoby never gave up hope. He knew that the fate of the world rested on his very average shoulders. And he was determined to not let the world get flushed down the toilet. Section 5. The final showdown begins. The day of the final showdown arrived, smelling like a dumpster fire at a sewage treatment plant. Megadeth Shit and guast stood before them, oozing confidence and other unmentionable fluids. The stench alone was enough to make a grown man cry, but Jacoby and his team stood strong. Well, maybe not strong, but upright, mostly. The battle began. Brodie unleashed his arsenal of homemade gadgets, each more ridiculous and surprisingly effective than the last. John, armed with nothing but his encyclopedic knowledge of poop-related trivia, distracted guast with a barrage of insults and off-color jokes. Oscar, well, Oscar just barked and farted, as usual. Section 6. Jacoby's ultimate sacrifice. Jacoby, wielding his trusty plunger like Excalibur, charged towards Megadeth Shit. He knew he couldn't defeat him with brute force, so he had to get creative. He jumped, he dodged, he weaved, all the while yelling encouraging things like, finally, Jacoby saw his chance. Mega Death Shit, distracted by Brodie's latest invention, a self-destructing toilet brush, left himself open. With a mighty yell, Jacoby plunged the plunger right into Mega Death Shit's. Well, let's just say it was his weak spot. You're going down, you giant piece of crap. Section 7. A New Hope. A blinding flash, an earth-shattering boom, and silence. When the dust settled, or rather the poop settled, Mega Death Shit was gone. Vaporized. Turned into nothing but a bad memory and a lingering stench. Guast, his power source gone, shrieked in rage and then dissolved into a puddle of his own filth. His poop army, leaderless and confused, simply wandered off to terrorize a nearby porta-potty. The day was saved. The world was safe. And all thanks to Jacoby, the most average hero the world had ever known. Section 8. The legend continues. Life slowly returned to normal, the goo receded, the stench faded, people rebuilt. The cricket ground, once a symbol of chaos, was restored to its former glory. The community came together, united by their love for the game and their determination to move forward. And Jacoby? He became a legend. Sure, he still talked to toilets, but hey, nobody's perfect. His quirks only added to his charm, making him a beloved figure in the cricket world. Fans adored him, not just for his skills on the field, but for his unique personality off it. He even got his own statue, though it was mysteriously covered in pigeons most of the time. The statue stood as a testament to his bravery and eccentricity, a reminder of the extraordinary events that had unfolded. People would often leave flowers at its base, paying their respects to the hero who had saved them. The important thing was, the world was safe. For now. Because everyone knew, deep down, that Mega Death Shit and guast were just the tip of the iceberg. The victory was celebrated with great fervor, but there was an underlying sense of vigilance. The cricket team, now more united than ever, stood ready to face any new challenges. There were other threats out there, lurking in the sewers, waiting for their chance to strike, threats that would require a hero. The shadows held secrets, and the foggy fields whispered of dangers yet to come. The world needed someone who could stand against the darkness. A hero named Jacoby. The end. Or is it just the beginning? As Jacoby stood tall, bat raised in victory, the young cricketers looked up to him with hope and admiration. They knew that as long as Jacoby was around, they had a fighting chance. The legend of Jacoby would continue to inspire generations to come.